Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the 5 Rounds Podcast. The only podcast out there with the cardio for those deep water championship rounds. That is a throwback, if I may say so. I am, of course, I'm Mags. Unfortunately, today I am flying solo. Carlos had a prior engagement, so he was unable to make it today. But I have just finished watching UFC on ESPN 27, UFC Vegas 32, UFC Fight Night, Sandhagen versus Dillashaw. So let's quickly run through these prelims. We started the night with a decision victory for Diana Belbita over Hannah Golder. Then we went into the women's flyweight division with Sajara Eubanks picking up the first round KO of Elise Reed. The KOs continued with Julio Archer picking up the second round KO against Andre Ewell in the Bantamweight. In the welterweight division, Mickey Gall picked up the first round sub against Jordan Williams. In the middleweight division, Nasreen Imavov got the second round KO against Ian Harnish. And in the featured prelim, Brendan Allen continued his winning ways with the decision victory against Punahele Soriano. So going into the main card, we were initially meant to have 6 fights on this main card, but unfortunately, a couple of days ago, Mesa Kiesan had to pull out of her match, her co-main event matchup with Aspen Ladd. So unfortunately, that match will get rescheduled. She had stress fractures in her foot, so hopefully that will heal up quick, and we wish her a speedy recovery, and we want to get her back on the card as soon as possible. But what it did mean is that we had a 5-fight card, and we opened the evening's proceedings with Adrian Yanez taking on Randy Costa. The commentators really hyped this up to being a fight that everybody's looking out for, and to be fair, it was a very, very exciting fight. There was a little bit of a friendly banter between Yanez and Randy Costa. Yanez proudly supporting Dr. Pepper, and Randy Costa was bigging up Reese's Pieces, so they had a friendly bet on the side, which whoever lost had to buy the winner the product of their choice. Started in the first round, really, really exciting. Yanez went with early kicks, but Costa, using his much larger frame and much longer limbs, was really, really successful with the jabs, landing constantly. I mean, we go on this show about how people have a laser accurate vision in terms of jabs, people like Sean O'Malley, for example. But Costa just set that bar so high. Every shot he was throwing, left or right, what seemed to be landing and breaking through the defence of Yanez. His face, with every punch, just got redder and redder and more swollen. Yanez was certainly trying to land some of his own shots, but with Costa's head movement and with the movement that he had in terms of getting away from shots, that just Yanez was hitting fresh air and was unable to land anything at all. Getting closer to the end of the round, Yanez started to get a little bit more success, landing with the high kick and the body shots. But the first round was quite a clear and decisive round for Costa. Coming out into the second round, and we expected to see more of the same, and it started pretty well with Acosta landing the jabs pretty clean again, but Yanez certainly took lessons and took advice from his corner and was able to keep the pace there much more this time, but started to land a lot more of the jabs, cut up Costa's face a little bit, and then he, and again, using an old 5 rounds trope, he smelt blood in the water, and as soon as he saw that there was a target on Costa's face, he kept hitting it, landing the jab time and time again. Got some shots into the body, then landed a beautiful uppercut. Costa went down to a knee. Yanez was able to swarm him and land punch after punch, and eventually the referee Chris Tognone had no option but to call an end to this fight. So after a very one-sided first round, Yanez is able to pull the victory out of nowhere. Congratulations to him. So going into the second fight on the main card, we had Macy Barber, the future of the division, taking on Miranda Maverick. Miranda, who has just been absolutely decimated opponents going into this matchup on a 5-fight win streak, including that destruction of Gillian Robertson earlier on this year, and she started off really bright and really fresh. Barber was light on her feet and moving was good, but Maverick was able to keep her range, keep Barber at range with the low kicks and the jabs. It was quite a back and forth round. Both ladies trying to get some kind of momentum going, but were both kind of cancelling each other out almost. Maverick took the impetus late on in the first round, using more kicks, using that as a base to start rushing forward. There was one time where Barber landed a big left, but Maverick was able to eat that, answer back with a shot of her own, and then some kicks as well. Coming into the second. Again, I felt that this was incredibly a tight round. Maverick still landing lots and lots of kicks, but Macy Barber was getting a lot more success in terms of using her fists, and even when she was able to kind of score takedowns, which is something that she really kind of struggled with in that first half. She wasn't able to keep Miranda down for too long, but the fact that she was able to get that takedown and then land shots on the way out and still keep the clinching was very much a testament to Macy Barber's game plan. Going into the third, and again, Miranda Maverick started really brightly, landing 2 big shots and a couple of leg kicks, but Macy Barber had that cannon of a right hand cocked for the majority of the fight and was landing it quite easily. She also started to hit out with kicks to the body as well, which was something that she'd not been able to do much of in the first 2 rounds. She landed a trip, got Maverick to the floor, but unfortunately, again, pretty much like the second round, she just wasn't able to keep her down. Although the fact that she had got the takedown, it certainly worked into her favour. Going towards the end of this fight, and Maverick was pretty much pinned up against the fence with Macy Barber using her strength to force the clinch. and to land tight shots. We see a spinning elbow as the two of them break away. Macy was landing big right hands. Maverick was certainly holding her own and trying to land more shots. Macy went for the last ditch takedown at the end, but the klaxon sounded, and Macy Barber snaps her losing streak with picking up a split decision. A really fun fight to watch, a really kind of almost like a chess match of a fight, and I implore everybody to go and check it out. So going into the middle of this card, and we had Darren Elkins. He was taking on Derek Miller, and this was a brutal fight. Lots and lots of heavy hitting action. Elkins was ducking some huge shots at the beginning of the first round. Tried to go for the takedown, but Derek Miller was able to stuff that. His movement was really kind of really clean. Derek Miller's movement, that is, landing leg kicks, landing big right hands. Darren Elkins again went to shoot, but Miller was able to grab his neck and went for the guillotine. But Elkins just essentially forced Minna to relinquish that. Minna was able to then attempt the ninja choke from the front, but again, Darren Elkins was so pressing with his force that he eventually did get the action to the floor. We see a little bit of a scramble, and then we see that Elkins is actually stuck, almost caught in an armbar. And then we just get transition after transition after transition from the likes of Minna, who was really trying to force the submission. Elkins is able to survive those submission attempts. Is able to get back to his feet. Minna gets the takedown again almost straight away. Goes back for the guillotine. Elkins tried to roll out for the leg. But he gets caught with a ginormous elbow, and then Derek Minner is just landing shot after shot. So much big time ground and pound. Minner, it just runs out of time. He was not able to get the finish, but this was a very, very dominant round by Derek Minner, and it looked like it was going to be a hard day at the office for Darren Elkins. Coming out into the second, Minner straight away gets the takedown, gets Elkins up against the cage in a seated position. Elkins is throwing punches and elbows. He's able to wrap his arms around Minner's neck. Tries for a guillotine, but Minner is able to scramble free. Again, we see the same kind of a transition work that we saw in the first round, with Minner going for the back and then going for an arm triangle. But Elkins is able to work his way onto the top, pins down the right arm, lands big shots, like big elbows, big punches, and then is able to get into a crucifix position, which is pinning Minner's arms, and so he essentially can't defend, and just Minner's taking shot after shot after shot. He's able to scramble out of that, and then Elkins is able to take the back. So this is very much kind of like a night and day contest if you compare and contrast with the first round. But Elkins has the back. He's landing shot after shot into his forward-facing opponent, and Mark Smith calls the fight, and Darren Elkins picks up the KO victory. Really good comeback by Darren Elkins. Really well done. Just so impressive, especially when you consider how dominated he was in that first round. So for our new co-main event, we had Raul Paiva and Carla Phillips, both in the Bantamweight division. And Raul Paiva was able to pick up a majority decision over Carla Phillips in another very kind of interesting back and forth fight. These two guys were really trying to show their skill sets. Punches and kicks, and from both we see that Carla Phillips quickly drops Paiva with a straight right. He goes to follow up with the kind of the scramble, but Paiva's able to pop back up. We see him then try a spinning elbow. And then you can vocally hear his coach telling him to calm down and this is a marathon, not a sprint kind of fight. But these two guys just wanted to literally beat the living piss out of each other. Phillips goes for a kick, which is caught by Raul Paiva. Which then leads to a trip and Phillips going to the ground, but he was quickly back up. We see Paiva then able to get the takedown and dump to the floor. But it's just the sheer pace. I mean, this was very much a blink and you miss it kind of round. They were both fighters were landing takedowns. Both fighters were landing big shots. Phillips seemed to be the more dynamic of the fighters, landing quite a few of those spinning kicks. But every time somebody was just a fraction of a second off the pace, their opponent was going for a takedown. We finally get some decent time on the floor with Paiva on top, and he goes for a triangle choke, which he just isn't able to come off, landing a few shots. But Phillips is able to scramble, reverse, and end up in side control. Paiva was then able to get back to his feet, but ate some shots on in the process. This was just a madness of a first round. Phillips lands a big shot, and you can see that the Paiva is massively hurt. He lands some more rights, and that means that Paiva is wobbly. So Phillips kind of almost uses his weight to force him to the floor, and just as we see Phillips trying to posture up and hit some big ground and pound, the bell goes. That was 5 minutes of intense fighting. Second round was pretty much exactly the same. They kept up the massive pace, the amount of attack that both guys were throwing. There was just no let up from it at all. Paiva comes out, starts swinging, landing kicks to the body, changes levels, goes for a takedown. He's not able to do that, but gets the leg. But Phillips kind of almost spins through, able to get back to the feet, landing a huge elbow. Then Paiva answers that with a right that stuns Phillips. Another right. Phillips again going back to that spinning elbow, but this time he's not able to land it. Paiva then tries to smother him and take it to the ground. Phillips manages to force that away. Then he himself drives for the takedown, but Paiva is able to get his back to the cage and get back to his feet. It was just absolutely non-stop, really kind of breathtaking speed, almost breakneck pace that these guys were putting on. Again, Paiva goes for a takedown. Phillips lands the back elbow, grabs the body. We see it go back to the floor. Paiva now is on the floor, underneath, taking shots. He's able to transition to a kneeling position. Phillips allows him to get up and scores a big right hand on the reset. He goes for a shoot at the end of the round, but again, his actions are stopped by the bell. Such a tight fight so far. Going into the third and what could probably be the decisive round, Phillips again goes into shoot, but Paiva's able to stuff it. We kind of see a slight slowing down of the pace in this round. Phillips is clearly tired from this just energy that has been exuded from the both of them, but we still see both guys landing huge shots, both guys going for takedowns. The difference starts to come through though with the power of Phillips. He's able to drive the takedowns with a little bit more impetus than Paiva does. His shots seem to just have that little bit more stank on him. And when we get to the final 10 seconds, these two guys just start firing everything they have at each other. And it was absolutely no wonder why the judges were struggling to pick a winner out of this. You could have easily scored it for either competitor, and I'm actually surprised this didn't go as a majority draw rather than a majority decision. But Raulian Paiva picked up the victory against Kyler Phillips. Congratulations to him, and Kyler Phillips has nothing to be ashamed of in that fight. I thought that he could have easily picked up the victory, but they both live and learn. Going into this main event, the fact that the card was built around Cory Sandhagen, the number 2 ranked bantamweight in the world, taking on TJ Dillashaw, one of the more controversial people in MMA today, coming back off serving his 2-year USADA suspension for essentially for pissing hot. If you remember, he was currently the bantamweight champion and had to relinquish that title when he had his positive test. To be fair to TJ, I mean, he's not the most well-liked person. He's had a lot of controversy in his career, but he owned what he did. He didn't try to make any excuses for it. Not saying that that's right or wrong, but just that it was refreshing to see somebody own up to the fact that they'd done something to game the system rather than it always be down to a tainted supplement or pleading ignorance, stuff like that. There was an expectation that TJ Dillashaw maybe has been passed by in terms of this division. You've got to, if you remember, once he dropped the title, Henry Cejudo won the belt in a match with Marlon Moraes. Then he retired and vacated the belt, which then went to Petr Yan, and then obviously it's now in the hands of Aljamain Sterling after that disqualification victory over Petr Yan recently. So the kind of the landscape in this division has certainly changed with TJ Dillashaw not in it, and it was interesting to see if he still had a place in this division, because at the end of the day, 2 years is a long time in MMA to be out of the sport, and things can change drastically. And then when you see what happened in the first round, essentially in the first 2 rounds, you could have said that maybe perhaps the division had passed him by. Cory Sandhagen quickly was landing big shots, big low kicks. He's a good 4 inches taller than Dillashaw. He's probably the tallest person actually in this division at 5'11", and he used that range to great effect. He also used one of his more unique weapons in his arsenal, the flying knee, the one that slept Frankie Edgar not too long ago. He landed that here in quite early in the first round. Dillashaw was able to actually catch him to stop really kind of getting any damage. But he actually, Cory Sandhagen actually went over Dillashaw's back and was able to wrap his legs around the neck for an inverted triangle that actually looked pretty dangerous. But just as it was getting close to Dillashaw maybe tapping, he was able to force his way out, throw the legs over, and ended up in top position. Cory Sandhagen switches out and gives away his back, but he's able to get back to the feet. And this is where we see TJ Dillashaw's most useful, most kind of a predominant weapon, the body clinch up against the cage. He used this to great effect all the way through the fight. The stats will say that he only scored 2 out of his 13 attempts at takedown, so less than 13%. But the fact is, he was able to drive Cory Sandhagen to the fence of the majority of these takedowns, and able to get a lot of body control all the way through the fight. Not just in this first round, but that was his kind of almost go-to. When it comes to being on the feet, Cory Sandhagen clearly had the edge. Especially in these first 2 rounds, he really kind of sliced up TJ's face, was able to really open up a horrific cut on TJ's eyebrow, which essentially split the edge of his eyebrow in half. Really worrying, to the point where Herb Dean actually calls in the doctor to take a look at it. The doctor says he's fine to carry on, but it didn't leave much to be desired for TJ Dillashaw. It kind of was almost like the writing was on the wall. He was coming out of the second round being absolutely decimated, being his face absolutely punched in. He's had swelling all the way across his eyebrows, blood streaming down his face. Fair play to him. He had no kind of he didn't give up. He didn't kind of lick his wounds. He was still going for takedowns, still going to force Sandhagen up against the cage. Sandhagen tried his flying knee again, but was unable to connect. But he did land some gorgeous punches behind it, which is a real skill. Third round was when the TJ kind of woke up a little bit and was able to land some shots of his own. He was still kind of rubbing at that right eye, wiping that blood out of it, but he was able to shoot in, get Sandhagen up against the fence, and land some big shots. He attempted a couple of Superman punches, one that just missed its target, but Dillashaw kind of it was almost like he had a second wind. He was landing some really nice low kicks. He was able to avoid a lot of Cory Sandhagen's shots and land shots of his own, but the grappling up against the cage and the leg kicks were where he found a lot of his success in this third round. Sandhagen did go for a takedown, but Dillashaw was able to sprawl and then take the back. So we end the third round with a little bit of a standing and banging, and just as Dillashaw releases from the cage and starts landing a couple of big shots, Cory Sandhagen threw one just after the bell. TJ Dillashaw made his views known about that to the referee, but on closer inspection, it seemed that it was just on the edge of the bell, and it wasn't intentionally a late shot. Coming into the fourth, and Cory Sandhagen he pressed forward more. He landed shots looking for the takedown, but Dillashaw was able to stuff and return some of those shots back. Started really going for the legs again, and then went back to tap and locked in that body lock. Was able to force Cory Sandhagen up against the cage. Sandhagen was able to twist and eventually pull away, and then land some big shots which reopened the cut above Dillashaw's eye. But Dillashaw was he was the one pushing the pace now. He was the one pushing the momentum. Sandhagen worked really well off the back foot, to be fair, and was able to land a couple of big shots, but Dillashaw was able to force that body lock time and time again, and was able to get it as and when he wanted to. For me, this felt like Cory Sandhagen was tiring, and Dillashaw was able to land some big shots at the end of the round to really kind of put this fight really up in the air in terms of the judge's decision. Coming into the fifth and final round, this could be the make or break round for both fighters, and yet again it was TJ Dillashaw coming out and pushing the pace, landing those leg kicks. Sandhagen did land a couple of shots early on, but TJ was throwing a hell of a lot more. He really was taking the fight to Cory Sandhagen. Again, got the body lock in, goes for the trip. Was able to get Sandhagen down, but Sandhagen was quickly back to his feet. But then again, Dillashaw was in, going for the takedown, getting Sandhagen up against the cage and to the body. Cory Sandhagen started to really kind of let his punches fly, a lot of misses, but a lot of output, and TJ was using that shooting when not necessarily getting the takedown, but certainly getting the control and getting Sandhagen up against the fence. Cory was still landing some big shots, as was TJ. It was very much a tit for tat, a very, very close round. Going into the last few seconds, and it was just essentially punch trading until the klaxon went, and the judges saw a very, very kind of a mixed decision here. We've got a split, two judges giving it 48-47 in favour of TJ Dillashaw. So after a 2-year hiatus, TJ Dillashaw is back in the win column against the number 2 ranked bantamweight in the world. So essentially throwing himself right back in the mix to regain that title that he had to relinquish in March of 2019. So yeah, that's another event in the books, and we roll on. Next week's card is another Apex, so it's Vegas 33, headlined by the always exciting Uriah Hall taking on Shane Strickland, and then Chris Daukaus and Shamil Abdurakhimov in the heavyweight division. We've also got Smiling Sam Alvey against Roman Kopylov and Brian Barberina against Jason Witt on the card. So plenty of big fights on this card. So definitely tune in to hear what we think of the show next week. Hopefully Carlos will be back then. Thank you for listening. Please go and follow Carlos on Twitter at Kurtbait_Carlos. Follow me at PodfatherMags, and follow the amazing networks that provide us the platform to bring this content to you week after week. That's Visionaries Global Media, that's The Chair Shot, and that is Radio Tekkers. Thank you all for listening along, and that is the end.
He hurt him big time. He's trying to finish.